We've never seen this many cases of COVID. The ONS estimates more than 3 million of us were infected last week. That's 1 in 15 people in England. Little wonder there are plans to ease pressure on the testing system. Next week, only those with COVID symptoms will have to book a PCR test. The rest can rely on lateral flows.
We have quite good data from other sources to really estimate the size of the epidemic. And in any event, we only detect about a third of the infections anyway, based on ONS data. But there is this problem of capacity in the system that we could overload the PCR testing for very little gain in a practical matter. Clearly, in a world with no restraints or constraints on supply, you keep doing PCR, but that's not the world we're in.
The downside is it requires people to faithfully upload results to test and trace. But with around 1 million lateral flow tests being reported daily, 50,000 of them positive, officials believe the approach will work to take pressure off the system and those of us who use it. Several experts have been calling for a while for a shift away from PCR testing to lateral flows. And given for the vast majority of us who've been boosted, Omicron is quite a mild illness. Does this latest step mark another move towards living with COVID? Officials say no, removing the need for PCR tests for asymptomatic illness and now for travellers coming into the UK is a temporary step while infections are high, they say.
OK, so how are you two ladies?
But with vaccines holding their own against Omicron, is 2022 the year everything changes?
I think that we're seeing the end now. I really am.
We're just going to have to live with it. We can't keep shutting down every time there's an outbreak and a new variant comes along and everything. We have to live with it and adjust.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go away fully. But I think as long as everyone gets vaccinated, we'll be able to live with it without having as many deaths as we previously did.
With vaccination and infection rates at all-time highs, 95% of us now have antibodies to COVID. That makes a real difference.
We can look forward, I think, to a much better second half of 2022. I'm also expecting the number of deaths to be much lower in this wave. The early signs are that they will be lower compared to previous waves. So hopefully, the fear that we've all had over the last 2 years and the death and suffering that we've all seen over the last 2 years should be a thing of the past. But of course, we have to get through the next few weeks first.
And with Omicron cases yet to peak across the UK, there could be some very hard weeks to come. Tom Clark, Sky News.